Hey guys, what's going on? Back again with another zombies video, and this one's going to be some more talk about Zombie Chronicles 2, and specifically Transit, or a Transit Remastered, or a Transit 2.0 that we might eventually get if we end up getting a Zombie Chronicles, or maybe just a Transit remake in one of the games, either in Vanguard or one of the future games. And I tell a lot of people from the zombies community, always be careful, what videos you're watching or listening to, because a lot of it's clickbait, cash grab videos. They just know that certain titles are going to generate a lot of cash for the zombie YouTubers, and a lot of them are just to kind of deceive and trick the zombies community and stuff like that. So, one thing that I mentioned about that is there's not going to be a Transit remastered or a Transit remake if there's no story for it. The unfortunate truth is zombie YouTubers, they only know like one or two levels of the story, and that's pretty much what their videos are all about, just kind of like one or two easy things to figure out. But they don't realize that there's probably like around 50 different layers of story and Easter egg stuff that there is to figure out and has never been figured out. So this kind of made me think about a good story for Transit Remastered, or Zombie Chronicles 2, or it could be a Transit story, a layer, an Easter egg layer that we missed over the last 10 years. As you guys know, which I have on the screen right now, is Transit is all fire and lava and smoke. And in our story, like I said, there's layers upon layers, and this would probably be the layer that zombie YouTubers, the big zombie YouTubers, would know, is that Maxis and Richtofen, or actually it was more Maxis, I believe, sent missiles to Earth and blew up the Earth with 115 missiles, and destroyed Earth and stuff like that. And that's how Transit had all the cracks and stuff like that, because Black Ops 1 Zombie Moon ended with us blowing up Earth, and then we go back to Area 51 and stuff like that. But what a lot of them don't realize, and this goes to show the layers upon layers and how um, sophisticated that the devs make the zombies game is, I think, looking through research, or it would be a good story for the next one. I know the timelines don't exactly match up, but they never do. It just takes inspiration from stuff from history. Is in the early 2000s, there was a huge brush fire that destroyed the Hanford site, and there's a lot of videos out there from NASA and satellites and stuff like that, where it shows in May 2000, May 15th, 2000. This is what Hanford looked like before the fire, and I think it was in June there was a huge fire that destroyed Hanford. So it made me think, like, was that what another way that the devs and Treyarch were taking inspiration from events from real life? That there was a huge fire, and these are some of the images that are shown. This is what Hanford looked like after the fire. So, like I said, people have to realize that the devs need a good story to write. They can't just present to the Activision executives, hey, we want to remaster it. Then they'll be like, what's the story? And then you don't have a story behind it. Like, or maybe how it parallels stuff in real life. I think like the executives and the Activision executives and their bosses would probably appreciate, or gonna go forward with, or push forward the story or the remaster if it has a good story that even has layers upon layers in it. It's the same thing like script writing, I guess, in movies, that you have to kind of present the script and the screenplay to the people that you're pitching the idea to. So I wonder again if this is something that was what the inspiration was for Transit, because Transit was released in like 2012. And this brush fire, this huge fire that destroyed Hanford site, happened in the early 2000s. And this is what Hanford looked like before. I know Transit's like kind of over here. So maybe in our story, the fire kind of spread all over the place. But again, if you kind of just look through some of the stuff, it says multi-angle imaging spectroradiometer image pair shows before and after views of the area around the Hanford Nuclear Reservation near Reichland, Washington. On June 27th, there was a big fire sparked by an automobile crash. The flames were fanned by hot summer winds. By the day after the accident, about 100,000 acres had burned, and the fires forced highways to close, and people's house burnt down and stuff like that. But just to show you the scope of the fire, like we know that Transit, I think, is all a little bit up here. But bus route B, which would have been like the B reactor, would have been down here. So maybe it started at the B reactor around that area and just kind of spread. Because like I said, I think Transit's over. Well, Transit is up over here, and then you took bus route B, I guess, before everything got scrapped. Would have took you to the Hanford site, the main building, the B reactor, and it would have taken you here. But if you see the image, how like everything was pretty much burnt and destroyed. So it made me think like, was that the inspiration? Like for the why I know the inspiration obviously is I guess might have been thought of years and years in advance that hey, we can blow up the Earth and then we can set it in Hanford. That was a big fire that happened there. Or it could have been like even Chicago, I guess, or something like that back in the day, because Chicago had a big fire. But it looks like they might have picked that. Again, these are satellite images from back then when the fire happened. I mean, that one's actually harder to see, but again, this would be like a good story for like a Transit remastered, or it could have been something that we missed again for the original Transit, but maybe this time to maybe make it a little bit more realistic or something more grounded. They can talk about maybe the fire that happened, or it could be another situation like what happened, I believe, in Maori Totem, where it was like a cover up, where it could be like a fake story saying, hey, it was just a car accident that happened. But in reality, it was like maybe a missile or something that crashed to that spot and created the zombie outbreak. Again, I mean, that's stuff that happens in real life too, how certain things happen, but it gets covered up by the media and covered up by local law enforcement and stuff like that. They don't want, mass hysteria. I guess even like alien movies and stuff like that, where if a UFO crashes, like in Roswell, that they can say it's just a weather balloon or something like that crashed, or the a weather balloon that crashed, or like something like that, or it was like a car or a kid's toy or something like that. But again, so it makes me wonder, and I tell people it's kind of the unfortunate thing about not working for Treyarch is like you'll never really get some of these answers unless some of them come out and say it, or Jimmy Zielinski, since it was kind of his idea. But Jimmy Zielinski isn't really on Twitter as much as he used to be. He's kind of like very, very distant now from the zombies community. But again, like I said, this would make a good story, maybe even similar to, again, what happened with Maori Toten, where certain things happen and then we kind of cover it up, or, local government covers it up. But, because I think in our story, yeah, I guess certain things happen, so that's fine. Yeah, I guess it could just be a cover up, because, I mean, they can still have the missiles crashing to Earth, but they can just say like it was just a fire or something like that. But again, this is pretty cool. There's a couple other Transit stuff that I figured out that I might be talking about in the future. But this is just something that I stumbled across. I'm like, hey, that's actually, even in your own head canon, or even if people make custom maps and stuff like that, that'd be like a good idea that they can kind of have their, instead of just kind of redoing what Call of Duty did or Treyarch did, they can kind of have their own little spin on it, like make it more grounded, make it more realistic. That and I think there's some movies too that stuff like that has happened, where obviously governments are gonna always cover stuff up, and they can kind of maybe even do Transit in another story, or maybe make it like a Transit prequel. Actually, no, Transit would have had to happen. Well, Transit happens in the future, but something similar like that could be what they could do. Unless there's more Easter eggs or hints in there, that maybe it's something like I said, that we missed. That I know there's no newspaper scraps that talk about a fire or anything like that, or a cover up. But again, stuff that happened with Transit and Black Ops 2, how pretty much like, and I hate to laugh and chuckle about it, but probably like what 80% of Transit, 75% of Transit got scrapped. It was supposed to be huge and big, like Outbreak, probably even bigger and more stuff going on. Because with Outbreak, you're really just kind of in a big area, but there's not really much of a story there. Where Transit was supposed to have like, you're supposed to kind of like, the bus had a lot of modifications. They were supposed to be looking for gas. There was supposed to be a ton more areas besides what we got in Transit. It's supposed to be like a campaign. It was never, I think, never was supposed to be like a multiplayer thing. Um, or obviously it was supposed to be like Left 4 Dead, where it's a group of 4 people, um, all going through a mission, different areas and stuff like that. But I tell people, I think pretty much Transit's dead. It has always been dead. Um, but if there's ever a story that needs to be told for Transit, I know they did something similar in Black Ops 4, where like the town disappeared. But I think if they do it again, like I said, either we missed this back in 2012, or if they do it again in whatever game, maybe 2023 or maybe even Vanguard. But I know I know some of the devs on Twitter said they're pretty much not even involved in Vanguard. They just kind of helped pass the torch, but I think Sledgehammer is pretty much doing their own Vanguard thing. I don't think we might even get too much of any tie-ins to Cold War or the old Ether story. Again, it was just kind of them blending the two universes, and then unless Activision forces Treyarch to step in and help out Sledgehammer. But on the other hand, a lot of people love Vanguard. It's just that the big zombie YouTubers are just bad at it, like I've mentioned before. And they're all just kind of looking. They're all looking or wishing to cash in on the old story. That's the only thing that's going to generate revenue for them. A lot of them have just left the zombies because they're not making any money from it. They don't know how to look into stories. They don't know how to, play the game. They're not good at it. They don't know how to make content. They only know the only way they know how to make money is if like the Treyarch devs do interviews and they get exclusive interviews and stuff like that. Again, we saw that in Black Ops 3. The unfortunate truth, people don't know how to research. They don't want to research and stuff like that. But again, how amazing it would look if they did something like that, or maybe Treyarch comes out and says, hey, that was the inspiration for Transit, the big fire of like 2000 that destroyed the old Hanford site facility and stuff like that. Anyways, let me know what you guys think. I'll see you guys later.